Here we are, everybody. We're out in Westport, Connecticut, early June 2024. Here we are with the Yeshiva University fishing team. Going out, let's see what we're going to get today. Smile, everybody. Here we go. Captain Ben Marcus at the helm. Okay, first fish of the day.
Grandpa,
look at that, a nice
it's a little
fluke.
Short.
Look at that, a little short. How big does it have to be, Ben?
19 inches.
19 inches.
This one's going back.
Okay. See you again. Okay, here's another one.
He's swimming.
Look at that, he's swimming in the bottom of the boat. Another fluke.
Also a little short, same size.
Little short.
Still needs to get a little bit bigger.
Pseudoplurinectes americanus.
What does that mean?
Here we go. There's a nice one. Another summer flounder.
Nope, that's close, bro.
Another summer flounder.
Short.
Measure it from the measure.
Look at that.
Him, but he's short.
Very nice.
0 to 17 and a half. That's 19.
All right, so let's just look at that fish first. It has a white bottom. Okay, and the top with the two eyes, with the eye has migrated over to the same side. Look at that. Beautiful.
Those teeth.
All right, and look at those teeth.
Oh, yeah.
That's a fluke.
All right, open up the tank.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Captain Ben Marcus.
Hello, hello.
We just got back from fishing out with the YU fishing team
On the big keeper.
on the Big Keeper. All right, what we're now going to do is we're going to fillet the fish.
We caught two keepers today.
This
Nice 21.5 incher and the 19 right on the dot, just the keeper.
This is a summer flounder or a fluke.
Yep.
Pseudoplurinectes americanus.
Dark on top, white on the bottom. All right. So we're gonna begin filleting. Make one cut up here on the head, right down to the lateral line. And once we get there, we have a Victorinox 9-inch and a Victorinox 6-inch fillet knife. And now we're just gonna take the lateral line and bring it all the way down to the tail.
The lateral line is the sensory line on the side of the fish, the mid side of the fish.
Yeah, and most fish you can knock off in 2 fillets, but for any kind of flat fish, like a fluke, it's much easier to take it off in 4. Okay, so now we work our way right down to the skeleton, right? And start freeing up the fillet. And the goal is to keep the tip of the knife down on the skeleton the entire time so that you don't lose any meat.
When you eat a fish and the fish has bones, it's because the person who's screwed up at this stage.
Yeah.
The entire team is here observing this, making comments on the side. They're here primarily to eat the fish.
Our spoils from our victory.
Exactly. It's a successful day out on the water.
You do a classic fish joke? Ain't they call a fish without an eye?
No. Very good.
He has just been removed from the team.
All right, so here we go with our first top loin. So this is top loin number 1. the top of the fish, and as you could see, I did a pretty decent job. You could see right down to the skeleton here. The fluke is double-sided, so there's another fillet on the white side on the bottom, which is a thinner fillet. But yeah, pretty good. Now we're gonna move down to the bottom line and just make a nice pile for all the fillets.
So that's the first fillet.
Yeah, so as you can see, the first lateral line cut was right on top of the spine here. So I worked one side off this way, and then I'm gonna work the other side off the other way. But the problem is with the bottom loin is the stomach is here, and the fluke stomach is very thin, so you really don't wanna puncture it, or else it makes your whole fillet covered in stomach acid, which is not so nice. So again, just keeping, the whole trick with a fluke is to keep the tip of the knife down on the skeleton. The rest of the knife shouldn't really be doing much. And here I'm just working my way right over the spine and out the tail, just like so. Again, just with the tip of my knife, right up to where the stomach is.
So when you buy it in the store, you're usually buying the fillet. If you're buying the whole fish, they usually cut the head off, or at least remove the viscera, remove the guts, so that the stomach acid and the other fluids don't spoil the meat.
Right, as is not the case here. These fish that we caught were also bled before we brought them in today. So what I'm doing right now is just cutting through the rib cage so I don't hit the stomach, right? Just right around it. So all of our fish were bled at the end of the trip. So
could you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, so right behind right behind the fish's gills, there's a thin membrane, and that membrane is equivalent to the jugular on a person. And when you pop that, and after you pop it, before you pop it, you brain the fish also, so they don't really feel it. You pop it, and all the blood in the fish gets pumped out with the last few heartbeats of the fish, and hopefully they don't feel it. That's what they say, at least. And it really makes the meat quality of the fish much higher grade. Because this way, if you wouldn't bleed the fish, you'd see blood all within the fillet, and it would be much, much less tasty. By bleeding the fish, we prevent that from happening. So fluke also have some bones right on the edge of their skeleton. So sometimes they get in the fillet, all you have to do is slide the knife under, and they should pop right out. We have some spectators as well. All right, there we go. And then also some more bones right over here that we'll cut out later once we skin the fish. Okay, so this is the top side.
Fillet number 2.
Pretty good. Now we flip it over and do the same thing. So we're gonna wanna start on the high loin over here. We're gonna wipe our knife. Come right under the fin here. Just make a nice cut.
How important it is, Ben, to have a sharp knife?
Sharp knife is the key. If your knife isn't sharp, it's very likely you'll slip and cut yourself, which would not be good. Also, your meat yield on your fish will be much less, which is unfortunate and also not good. So, important to note, on the bottom side of a fluke, looks like the lateral line runs here, but really it's not the line you should be following. You really want to follow the spine, which is more like over here, right? At the end, it follows the same line, but up top it doesn't. So it's all just really about your sense of where the spine is located on the fish. So the bottom side of a fluke, the fillets are much, much thinner, so there's much, much more room for error to be made. So, but we're primarily gonna do the same tactic. So this time I'm starting with the bottom fillet. It doesn't really matter for the bottom side. For the top side, I like to do the top loin first. But for the bottom there, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter which side.
This gives you appreciation for the mates on a boat who clean a couple of hundred fish every time they go out on a party boat.
Yeah, mates on the boat also sometimes don't get as good of a meat yield because they're rushing. Thankfully, we don't have that pressure on us right now. But again, so this is the side with the stomach, so you just want to make one light cut right over here, over the stomach, just so you could work your fillet off without puncturing.
I made that mistake 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, doesn't end up so well. All right, and the same thing. The edges of the fluke are called the ribbon, so this area right over here. It's seen as a delicacy in some parts of the world. From my experience, the bottom ribbon is much tastier than the top ribbon. Top ribbon has almost like a metallic, bloody taste to it, sometimes more fishy, but I guess whatever floats your boat, no pun intended.
All right.
It's not my favorite. All right, same idea, working down on the other side of the spine, out the tail, working the way up the fish. Again, also, it's a very common mistake that people hold their knives like this. You do not want to do that. You want a strong knife. You want a strong grip on your knife, right? Not like a chef's knife either. You don't want to be holding up here. You want just a strong grip on your knife so there's no slippage.
Slippage, is that a word?
Yeah.
Is that a female or a male?
I do not ask one of the marine biologists on this call.
No.
Sometimes you see the eggs, sometimes...
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is there a roe?
I do not see roe, no.
Is that edible in fluke?
I don't think so. It might be edible, but people don't eat it.
Not usually.
Wow, that's a nice job.
All right, fillet number 4. All good.
You want to just look at the viscera? So this is called a rack, what's left.
And it's everyone's dream to, when you have a rack of a fish, to be able to see your hand through it. So I think I did a pretty good job. I don't know if you could see on the camera my finger through the fish.
Can see it.
But yeah, that's what you want to see. Now there are people, we do it too, who then take the guts out, which are right over here, and then clean up the rack, and then you could throw the whole rack on the grill and just pick all the meat out from in between each of the bones on the fish here, right? A fluke has a nice cheek like a halibut, which also tastes pretty nice. It's not super large on a fish this size, but we could show you how we take it out. You want to just find the soft meat, so it's located right over here, and just on the edge you puncture the knife in. Right? Again, it's very important to have a sharp knife, and cheek meat is very difficult to get out on a lot of fish. Right? And you just work your way under it like this, then you peel up. And the yield on the cheek for a fish this size is not so large, but just to get the general idea, you come in like this, cut down. Right, and the skin should pick up just like that. And then you should be able to just scoop it out. There we go. One skinless, boneless fluke cheek, which is, you see the size of my hand. It's not an insignificant piece of meat. It's pretty good, and it tastes like butter. It's great.
And again, different cultures, different people do different things with the rack. You could use it for making soup.
Yep.
And other...
And also important to point out also is the bottom fillet of the fluke has a significantly different color than the top, Why is that so? Probably for the same reason as the skin color, because the one side it faces the sun, one side's on the floor, but I'm not sure. Might be a different reason too. Protein makeup of the fish, possible. But yeah, there's one summer flounder, fluke.
Good job.
Here we go. It's a little, looks like a little sand eel maybe, or a little, some little fish. Goby.
Okay. You want to just show the liver again? Point to the liver again?
Yeah.
Okay, and the stomach. And the heart. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, and here's fluke number 2. And just something to point out that we didn't on the first one, you see that this is a left-handed fish. The eyes are on this side of the fish and the gills are over here. Versus our winter flounder, which have the opposite makeup, the eyes are over here and the gills would be over here.
Right, right. So on this fish, what you're looking at is the left side of the fish, and the right eye, which you could see sticking out in this image, has migrated from the right side to the left side. So this is a left-handed flatfish. Some flatfish are left-handed, some flatfish are right-handed. So this is a left-handed summer fluke or flounder. It has teeth. The winter flounder don't have teeth. And the winter flounder are the opposite way. They're right-handed instead of left-handed. Okay, great job. We won't put you through another filming, Ben. Thank you so much, Captain Ben. Okay, so part 2, we're now going to skin the fillets of the flounder, which we showed earlier.
Yep. So here's the top loin, here's the bottom loin. You can tell by the difference of the color. So basically what you want to do is you always want your fillet to be at the edge of your cutting board. If it's not at the edge of your cutting board, your knife is going to be like this, which is no good. You want your knife to always be flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one cut backwards with the little meat on it to make a nice handle for our fingers. And again, to take our knife on the edge of the cutting board as good as we can, right? And just pull, right, get a good grip on the skin and just slide our knife under the meat. Again, it's very important to have a super sharp knife for this, because as you can see, here we go, we have beautiful skin, right? No meat left on there. Then our nice fillet, just like that. And the ribbon on a fluke separates by itself. So you just pull those bits off. Again, you can keep them if you like. I like the bottom loin ribbon. I don't really have a taste for the top loin ribbon. But yeah, there's one top loin. And then we'll do the bottom as well. Just to show you, it's the same thing.
You could hold it. You could see all the muscle bundles on there and the fascia between the different bundles. Nice. Okay. Good job.
The same thing for the bottom. Again, the bottom loin is thinner, so it could be a little bit more difficult. You really want to get a firm grip on the skin and just work it off like that. There you go. You have a nice fluke belly. Great bait for fluke. I think it's illegal now, but it used to be great. Now they make a lot of imitations. And then here's our fluke belly. And again, the ribbon separates naturally, just like that. Separates from the fillet. And then this, in my opinion, is quite tasty. There we go.
Okay, nice job. All right, next we're gonna eat them. Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back everyone. We're now gonna make our fluke. We're gonna make it in a very interesting way. We're gonna take it, cube it up, and then put it in a 50-50 cornstarch cornmeal mix, and then give it a nice light fry and mix it with some nice sauce, serve it on some rice, and it's gonna be delicious. So first what we wanna do is just to cube up our fluke. It's pretty easy with a fluke this size. From I like to just make one cut in the middle, right over here, because most of the tail section here we could just cut normally, but with the top section I like to cut down the middle, like so, and then just make nice even squares. This. My fillet knives are super sharp. This knife I think needs to be sharpened a little bit.
I just have to mention that to Ben's left is his brother, Asher, who's making tuna. Smile, Asher.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have quite a dinner here.
Yeah, so it happens to be that fluke is a phenomenal sashimi fish as well. But since we have tuna tonight, we're gonna switch it up a little bit and do half cooked, half raw, and it is going to be delicious. So I'm gonna split the tail section. We have a lot of people over. I'm gonna split the tail section as well, and then just do the same. So just work my way down. So, very good. Okay, so now I have my 50-50 mix here of cornstarch and cornmeal. And in my mix, I'm gonna do a classic fisherman's move. This is the fisherman's seasoning right here, Old Bay. And you're gonna mix some Old Bay into the mix over here. Give a generous amount. It's getting a light fry, so you really want the nice flavors of the Old Bay to come through. Oh, it's even open a little bit. Perfect. And then I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of cayenne to give it just an extra kick.
I wish you people could be smelling what I'm smelling now.
Yeah, just a little bit of cayenne. And then some garlic powder, because who doesn't love some extra garlic powder? Good. And you could also be generous with the garlic powder. And then just give it a nice stir, like so. And once we throw all the fish pieces in here, it's also gonna get nice and mixed up. Okay, should be good. Throw my hand in there a few times. Perfect. So now we're just gonna take our nicely chopped cubes and throw them into the mix. If you really wanna get fancy with it, you could even do a double fry. So you give them one coat, you fry them, and you put them back in, and you throw them back in the oil. So here we go, they're all coated once. And now we will take you over to the stove.
Okay. Over to the stove, past Asher's tuna, past the eggs from their chickens in the backyard.
So here at the stove, we have a nice seasoned wok that we really use for primarily fish purposes, primarily this recipe of fish. And we just have some avocado oil in here, which is great to use. It has a very high smoke point. And we're just gonna take our fish once the wok is hot, which I think still is getting there, almost there. And when it's hot enough, we're going to put our fish in, like so. Right down on the bottom there. I just like using a wok because it's very well contained, and the fish doesn't really stick to the sides either because it's well seasoned. We're just going for a nice golden brown. Lower the heat a little bit.
Again, smells delicious.
Unbelievable. Now, fluke is a very delicate fish, so you have to be careful when handling it while it's cooking. So I'm really gonna give it some time before I go to flip it. It's also important when you're frying any food to just have a plate with a paper towel to soak up any extra oil. Just gonna come in here and flip over our fish. So not quite there yet at the golden brown, but we're getting there. There. And I like the cornstarch cornmeal combo because you really get a nice crunch. And again, fluke is super delicate, so when you bite into it, it's just going to be like butter. So this way it has a really nice contrast. Almost there. Just going to lower the flame a little bit more. And again, if you really want to get fancy with it and get a super nice crunch, you can throw them right back in the batter and then fry them again. For a nice double fry, it also gets a much nicer color, but we have some very hungry fishermen over here that want some fish ASAP. Also, it's very important to have your fish dry, and I try not to have my fish touch fresh water at all. One, because it's not good to put in the oil, it's gonna go everywhere, and two, when you put the saltwater fish in fresh water, it's going to, the proteins in the fish are going to denature, and it's going to turn into a pile of mush, which is really not good. All right, we're almost ready to take them out.
So this could be done in a regular frying pan.
It could be done in a regular frying pan. I just like the wok because it holds the heat nicely and gives a nice surface area. So you can also, while you're doing this, you can feel the actual crunch. I'm using chopsticks here, but if whatever you use, you can use tongs or whatever. You could feel the crust forming on the fish itself. So I'm feeling a nice, when we take it out and we let it dry off for a second, I'll scrape it with the knife and you'll all be able to hear the beautiful crust that's on the fish right now. Yeah. All right, so it's just about done. And we will see you all after we plate it. Okay, so in addition to our beautiful fried fluke nuggets over here in a nice sauce with some sesame seeds.
Could you just say what you added to it?
Yeah, we had some General Tso sauce with some sesame seeds and we mixed it up afterwards. And yeah, we're gonna plate it on top of some rice. But also with the fluke belly, so the underside of the fluke, we're actually gonna add to our tuna sashimi platter and make some fluke sashimi as well. So to do so, you start at the end over here, the top loin end, and you're just gonna make, you want uniform cuts, so the first cut is usually just your starter cut. Then you're gonna angle your knife up to get a larger slice, and then in one motion slice down, and what you want is for the piece to be able to hang over your finger. So the first few cuts are a little more difficult, but eventually you start to get nice slices of sashimi that are thin enough to roll over your finger. And fluke itself is a very, very mild fish. So when you eat it raw, there's really, the flavor doesn't punch you in the face like something like tuna or salmon, and it also has a little bit of an inherent bite to it, so it's not super fatty fish, but it is a great fish to start eating sashimi or raw fish with because it is just delicious. So it just cuts like so, right, folds right over your finger. And we're gonna put some soy sauce, lemon juice, sesame oil. Yeah, that's about it. Simple as that. And then when we get back here to the tail, we'll use this, we'll fry this as well. We'll put it on the side. There we go. We'll show you what the plated version looks like.
Nice, thank you. Ben, you want to explain what you're doing?
Yeah, so I just cracked some eggs in the middle of the rice here, which I probably should have done beforehand and scrambled them, but we're letting them go right now. But this is fried rice that we're gonna serve the fish on top of. This is some day-old rice, which is perfect for making fried rice. You just mix it, put it, we're using the wok again, with some avocado oil, and then mix some soy sauce, sesame oil, sesame seeds, and lemon juice, and scramble a few eggs. You can put some scallions or something in there to add some pop of color. But yeah, should be delicious.
Okie doke. Thank you.
Yep. All right, here we go. Here's the final product. Right over here, we have our fried rice with our fried fluke right on top. Here we have my brother's tuna platter, tuna sashimi, which is beautiful. He just made his own spicy mayo and put it on top as well. Soy sauce, some lemon juice as well. And here we have the fluke sashimi, which is done the same way. And here is some spicy fluke in the middle here, and here's spicy tuna in this platter, which is just made with the leftover meat around the tail. You just chop it nice and fine and make your own spicy mayo mix, and you have spicy fluke, spicy tuna. It's great. Put it on a cracker, on a piece of bread, on anything, and it's pretty good. But we are very much looking forward, after a long day of fishing and filleting and cooking, to eat this wonderful food.
Okay, thank you, Captain/Chef Ben Marcus, helped by Asher Marcus. Thank you. We say YU team, how do we do today?
Unbelievable.
Excellent.
Unbelievable,
Yes.
good, delicious.
Unbelievable.
Thank you, Captain Ben and Chef Ben and Chef Asher.
Captain
Thank
Lou,
you,
Captain
yes,
Lou.
thank you, everybody. All right, bye-bye.
And thank our God.